don't forget to breathe. This is a side note that I can hold my breath longer than that. But anyway, moving on. What are we talking about today? Today we're talking about mercy, proper self-love, and loving God, and breathing. Okay? Ready? Let's go. But not quite in that order. First, we're going to start out with just something real quick. Well, we're going to start with breathing. Well, we're going to actually begin and end with breathing. Why breathing? What are we talking about? Breathing is a gift of self-love that you give to yourself that you cannot control. That statement will hopefully make sense after I talk about self-love for a little bit. Now, self-love is kind of a taboo thing, and we're just like, it sounds bad, it sounds like something Catholics shouldn't be doing because, it sounds selfish. Okay, well, first of all, a disclaimer, it's not selfish if you do it correctly. Everything in proper place, proper time, proper circumstances, proper everything. That's how it works. First of all, what is love? Love is seeing the good and willing the good of the other. So when you're loving yourself, you're seeing the good in yourself and you're willing the good of yourself. That is what God does. God sees the good in you that He created. Everything is gift. Everything is grace. So God sees the dignity He gave you at your conception, and He rejoices in that and loves that, and He wants to cultivate more of that goodness within you. So when we properly see ourselves as God sees us, that's how He sees us. Because God's love is unconditional. It doesn't have to do with what state we are in emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually. God's love is unconditional. And so the proper ordering of our self-love should be unconditional in that kind of sense. But love isn't a feeling. Love isn't a feeling. And so this proper self-love should always be present. Just like your breathing is. Your breathing is this constant in, out. You're constantly breathing. It's not really something that you're choosing to do. It's just automatic. If you try to control it, if you try to regulate it, you're going to pass out or you're going to die if you do it too long. And so you have to constantly remember you don't have to constantly remember to breathe, but when you're paralleling it to self-love, it's kind of this constant, omnipresent thing if you're doing it correctly. If you're not trying to control things. Little kids, they try to stop breathing if they're really angry at you, if they want to get something from you, or if they're really, really upset about something. So don't be childish, but be childlike and constantly be receiving this breath. It's easy, and it's slow, and it's relaxed when you're at rest. And man was made for rest. Man was made to be in God's covenant with Him. So that's that. But then it's like, okay, I'm supposed to love myself, but it still sounds weird, it still sounds selfish. Well, no, it's not. The first reason we love ourselves is because God loved us first. So if we want to be like God, we should love ourselves properly. Second thing is, Jesus does say, love your neighbor as yourself. If you can't love yourself, you're not going to be able to love your neighbor. It's this constant cycle of receiving from God and then giving to others and then receiving back. And it's just this cycle because man was made to be in relationship. Just like God. God is relationship. Man is made to be in relationship because he's made in God's image and likeness. I'm going to take some Thomas Aquinas quotes about this, about friendship and self-love and a bunch of stuff. I'm taking a lot of stuff from this article that I will post in the description. Okay, but Thomas, this is in the Summa. Thomas says this, he also takes a lot from Aristotle. He describes loving yourself as the root or origin of loving others. The love with which a man loves himself is the form and root of friendship. For if we have friendships with others, it is because we do unto them as we do unto ourselves. Hence we read in Ethics 9:4-8 that the origin of friendly relationship with others lies in our relations with ourselves. So we're supposed to love ourselves. What does that look like? I'm going to give you a few broad examples, and then I'm going to go to a more specific thing that's also tied in with mercy. The best way to love yourself is to will your good. Okay, what does that look like? Well, the best good that you could possibly give to yourself is the practicing of virtue. because virtue leads to happiness. This is all from Nicomachean Ethics from Aristotle. This is what I'm doing in philosophy right now. But, so I can't give my entire philosophy class in a 15-minute or less video. Read Nicomachean Ethics. Well, you need a teacher, but it's great. The ethics is amazing. Cliff noted. Virtue leads to happiness. God's definition of happiness, not the world's definition of happiness, but happiness as something that is constant and present. When your will is in accord with God, that's when you're truly happy, because there's no dysfunctional, discombobulated pieces that are all crazy everywhere. Everything's united. When you're completely ordered, when your intellect, will, and emotions are ordered as they should be, which is how Adam and Eve were created, which is how man is supposed to be eventually. So practicing virtue, practicing this habitual disposition to do the good, firmly rooted in yourself, it sets you free from despair and fear and all of the crazy emotions that we experience, because our emotions are ordered under our intellect and will. Now, it's this crazy beautiful thing of virtue brings stability to your life, because virtue, true excellence, and the Greek virtue and excellence are the same thing. They mean like they're the same word. It's this firm habit in your character, in your soul, that doesn't disappear when your emotions and your hormones are a roller coaster. And that just blows my mind. The virtue, so even when you're having a crappy day, the virtue's still there, and it's so firmly rooted in your habits that you can just do it without deliberating. I mean, there's always an element of deliberating, but it goes from this, I'm constantly struggling to choose the good, to just this lightning fast deliberation, yes, I'm choosing the good. And then look at the Beatitudes. Beatitude comes from the word meaning blessed, which means, type of the Angelus. Blessed, which Beatus, it also means happy. So and then you connect that with the beatific vision, and you're just like, craziness. Okay, now my little concrete thing, this is going to be tied in with mercy and love and everything. So the scary thing about loving ourselves is that when we love ourselves, we actually have to look at how crappy our lives are sometimes. And it's like, oh, this is actually really disgusting in here, if we really, really admit it. Because some people will say, I don't have any problems and my life is great, but they're really just denying reality. Because life is pain, y'all. Life is pain, as Princess Bride says. It's a great movie, watch it. So that's when it becomes hard, and that's when you need grace, and you need mercy. I mean, you always need grace, you need mercy. But like really living on grace and really living on mercy, because that's how God wants to make you completely dependent on Him for everything. So what I'm going to teach you here is it's a spiritual communion. So a spiritual uniting yourself to Christ of merciful love. Spiritual communion of merciful love. I'm getting this from Consoling the Heart of Jesus, freaking amazing book. Please read it. Father Michael Gately is amazing. I'm also getting a lot of stuff from this book too. 33 Days to Merciful Love. That's a lot of just the background ideas of Therese, because Therese is awesome. And her feast day is this week, October 1st. But receiving the mercy of God is the best way to love God. The best way, because his heart is just, all his love is locked up in his heart, because nobody wants to receive his love. So when you say, Jesus, I want you to love me in my crappiness, that makes him so happy. Do it, please. When you let him love you, it makes him so happy, and you're able to love yourself, and thus able to love others people better. So I'm going to teach you the spiritual communion of love, and this ties in with breathing, wrapping it up with breathing. It's kind of this idea of like, with my every breath, I will love you, I will praise you, God. Just every time I breathe, I'm going to love God, and I'm going to love myself, and I'm going to love others. And just constant, like, it just becomes part of your thinking. And when your thoughts are in accord with God, life is so much better. It has 3 steps, and they're aligned with your breathing. So it has 3 words, 3 acts, those 3 actions, physical actions, 3 kind of, and then 3 meanings underneath it. So the 3 words are ecce, they're all Latin. Ecce, fiat, and magnificat. Ecce means behold, Fiat means let it be, and Magnificat means it magnifies. It starts with ecce when there's no air in your lungs. Because if you focus on your breathing, it's in, out. It's this moment where there's no air in your lungs, and then you breathe in again, in, out, empty, in, out, empty. So with that ecce moment, you're acknowledging your neediness before God. You're like, I have a lot of sins, I have a lot of just baggage. I'm acknowledging the fact that I'm not perfect, and trusting that you love me even in that imperfection. Next, fiat, in. Let it be. You're breathing in, you're receiving the mercy of God. You're saying, Jesus, love me in this place where I am right now. I'm going to love you. I'm going to praise you. Please love me. And he will. He wants to love you so badly. Then Magnificat, coming out. You're praising God. You're thanking God. You're consoling God for receiving that mercy, and then you give it back to him. You give it back. You breathe out. You breathe back into him. You're praising him, and you can also love others. So with every breath in, you're consenting to keep living, keep loving, because to live and to live fully alive is to love just like God loves. When you're breathing in, you're saying, yes, life sucks right now, or maybe it doesn't. Maybe you're having a great day. But either way, it was like, yes, I'm going to keep moving forward. I'm going to keep choosing to love. And you're just going to keep going. And it's going to be constant. And it's going to just going to do it. You're just going to do it. And this, all of a sudden, this just becomes part of your habit, part of your life, part of your disposition. You have to remember, remember to keep breathing. Remember to keep breathing, kind of thing. Just remember, you can't hold it in, and you can't stop, because holding your breath is detrimental. You're gonna die. Holding your breath in is just as detrimental as not breathing in. Without praising, without loving, without giving of yourself, you're just gonna wither and you're gonna fade. And also, you can't receive the next gift. So it's a combination of, I need to breathe in, I need to receive God's mercy, and I need to breathe out so I can give back to God, and I can receive again. So I can give back to God and give back to others, and I can receive again. Because God constantly wants to pour his mercy into you. That's just what he wants to do. In that, just your breathing, remember, your breathing is constant, your self-love is constant, God's love is constant, your loving others eventually will become constant. And even, I know, loving yourself is hard sometimes. So that'll eventually be constant. And it's this process of just learning to love, because that is what man is made for. I hope you enjoyed that video, and I hope it helps you to live a better, more fully alive, Catholic, and human life. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, ideas, thoughts, suggestions, feelings, desires, just put them in the comments below. I will do my best to respond to them, or make a video, or whatever it happens to be. Check out the links in the description, because that's where some more resources are. And as always, get holy and have fun doing it.